America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, former Congressman Joe Walsh with you this Thursday. Hope your week is going well. We're getting there. Coming to the end of another week, Thursday, Friday. Friday's tomorrow. Let's finish strong. Thanks for joining me, former Congressman Joe Walsh. You know the drill of this podcast. The thesis, the whole purpose of this podcast. I used to be a really divisive political asshole. America's super divided. We've got to learn to speak with each other across the divide to help heal that divide and help bring this country together. So every week on this podcast, I try to have somebody on who doesn't think like me, who disagrees with me about something. And then we model how to have respectful conversation about whatever we might disagree on. I've got one of my most favorite people in the world joining me this morning, Andy Ostroy, writer, director, producer, handsome young man. There he is. Hello, Andy. How are you, boss?
Hey, Joe. By the way, I loved your music, your intro music. While I was waiting, I created a little mosh pit here. Me and my dog were just like, that's intense music.
It's good to see you, my man. And by the way, everybody listening to us, watching us right now, Andy has a great podcast of his own called The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. Subscribe to his Substack, same name, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy, and you can follow him on Twitter at Andy Ostroy, Blue Sky, all the rest. I want to, my friend Andy, I want to start like this. You and I disagree politically on a lot of stuff. We're best buddies because we've been locking arms the last few years trying to defeat Trump and Trumpism. You tweeted something yesterday, my good friend, that I read, and because I was in a bad mood, I wanted to throw something against the wall. And I'm so glad you could join me, because I think like this is a really interesting, important conversation, a Trump era conversation. Like, how do we handle him? How do Democrats handle him? How do Democratic governors handle him? How do Democrats who want to run for president handle him, deal with him? It's a fascinating conversation. So I'll set the table, then let's jump into it. Trump goes to Michigan a couple days ago, the state of Michigan, to hold a rally and announce the continued funding, federal funding of a National Air Guard base outside of Detroit. And Governor Whitmer met him at the airport. I think went to the rally, blah, blah, blah. You tweeted the following. I respected Christie back then when he met with Obama. I respect Governor Whitmer now for meeting with Trump. Governors are elected to protect their state's citizens, especially in times of crisis. She represented them, Whitmer, and our military on this project publicly. She publicly got praised for it, for her role. I call that a win for her and a win for Michigan. So, my friend, let's start there. You applaud Gretchen Whitmer. Trump comes into her state. She meets with him. You applaud that. I think there's no fucking way a Democratic governor should ever meet with Trump. Take it away. Start our conversation.
Can I flip it back to you and ask you why you think a Democratic governor shouldn't? Why don't we start there?
That's a great question. Because he is a unique threat to everything this country stands for. I agree with you. Christie meets with Obama after the hurricane, right?
Sandy, yeah.
Bipartisan.
Mhm.
And there's a bipartisan tradition when a president comes into your state, no matter the party, the governor, whatever party, opposition party meets with him. All of that I'm hunky-dory with. My whole thing, Andy, is Trump's a unique threat. Nope, can't normalize him. Don't do it. Respond.
So my tweet was really clear. I think
It's a good tweet.
we have a situation where the state of Michigan, which is, I guess people can consider the auto capital of the world, has imposed draconian tariffs on the auto industry. The policy changes from day to day. I watch way too much television and read too many newspapers. I couldn't tell you for $10 million right now what is the actual auto tariff policy right this minute. Is it up? Is it down? Is it suspended? Is it paused? I don't know. I couldn't tell you a number. The governor of Michigan, like the governor of any state, is there to serve the people. It's not a nationwide job. It's a state and local position. She is obligated to serve her constituents, especially in a time of crisis, like Christie did in 2012 after Hurricane Sandy. And the meeting on the tarmac with Obama was just days before the election, and he took a lot of shit for that. Christie. And the state of Michigan is in many ways in a state of crisis right now with the auto tariffs. You got to take that call.
You are way more important, Andy Ostroy.
I'm kidding. And so I think, I don't want to say that applaud, the word you used, is the right word with how I'm feeling.
What word would you use?
Practical. She has been very practical. Yes, I agree with you. Donald Trump is like no other president the United States has either ever had or could ever have imagined. And I am not a fan, and I don't agree with, to use his percentages as he did yesterday, 99.9999999 of anything he does or says. But that said, the reality is Michigan is being hit with an auto crisis with these tariffs. So it's the nature of the beast. What is the alternative? I guess I like to look at things like, since I'm not a purist and I don't live in a world of purity tests. What is the alternative? Thumb your nose at the United States president, say, I'm not meeting with you, fuck you. Like, what would that do? Forget the optics, forget what the libtards want to see. What would that do to her constituents? Would that make life better for her constituents? Would it soften the blow on any conceivable level in the auto industry? And the third point I want to make is knowing Donald Trump. Okay, we know there's one thing that motivates him. He's literally said this a million times: kiss my ass. Okay, so I feel like Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Whitmer, did a great job playing to that and playing him. We have seen everyone from Vladimir Putin to Xi Jinping to so many other people, even members of his own party, play him. You play him, you get what you want. So I think it was a very practical move. It was a very strategic move, and that's why I support it.
So let's drill down on that, because that's a really fair thing to throw back at me. Because on this, I am a purist. And so, okay, Joe, then what should Whitmer have done? Well, let's explain to everybody why Trump came into Michigan and what Whitmer did. And then I'll give you my answer. So Trump comes into Michigan for a big old rally, 100 days, to celebrate the 100 days. But he also comes in, your point, to approve more federal funding for this National Air Guard base outside of Detroit that for years Whitmer has been advocating for. She was doing it in Trump's first administration. She was doing it when Biden was president. And Trump came in to announce that, okay, we're going to recapitalize this with new jets, and we're going to keep this base open, which economically is a win for the state. Fair. So that's a victory for Whitmer. So he comes in for that and for the rally. Whitmer, Andy, meets him at the airport, gives him a big old bear hug, They do a little thing about the National Air Guard base, and then Whitmer goes to the rally and gets up and gives a speech at his fucking rally. If I'm Whitmer, what would I have done? I would have said to the president's people before, I will not meet you at the airport. I'm not going to be seen publicly with you. I will put out a statement thanking the funding for the expansion of the National Air Guard base, but I'm not going to your rally and I'm not going to be seen with you, respectfully, Mr. President. I would have done that. I wouldn't have been seen anywhere publicly with him because you're normalizing the unique threat this guy is. Respond.
Well, that would make sense if you're talking about any other president in American history, because that president and his team would go, okay, all right, so you're not going to do that. How about if you do this? What if we meet you with Trump? You know better than anybody, Joe, that what he's going to do is pout like a toddler. He's going to stomp his feet, and then he's going to tweet, what a loser Gretchen Whitmer is. She's such a loser. She wouldn't meet me at the...
Good for her.
But that makes the anti-Trumpers, the never-Trumpers happy. But what does it do? It gets back to my core question. What does it do for the people of Michigan, especially the auto workers, especially the dealers, the manufacturers? How does this on any level? You're just getting down on his level and maybe making some people happy that you're quote unquote resisting or whatever, but that's just not how government works. Unfortunately.
Yeah. The interesting point you're making.
Oh, can I just say one more thing? Yeah. The hug. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
But but Andy, that's again, I get it, but that's so fucking normalizing him. Now, the auto crisis, Michigan's in crisis. Look, you could say that about any state right now with the tariff yo-yo shit that's going on. So all of us Americans have to deal with right now. This guy didn't know what the hell he's doing on tariffs. So I dispute the whole notion of a crisis. The whole country's in a crisis because he's in the White House. But like, you're helping the people of your state in that you advocated for this funding for the National Air Guard base. He gave you that. I just don't acknowledge him. If you truly believe he's a threat to democracy, the rule of law, everything he's doing right now, you can't make nice with him.
Can I just ask a question? You're right. You're right. Normalizing Donald Trump has been a disaster for the last 10 years. But you know what? He's already been normalized. That ship has sailed. Okay? So now what we're left with is, how do we deal with today? And more importantly, how do we all collectively get what we want going forward? How does Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan get what she needs? How does Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania get what he needs? How does Gavin Newsom in California get what he needs? It's not, for me, it's not a game of Democrat good, Donald Trump evil. Therefore, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to meet with him. I'm not going to do anything. To me, play him like the fiddle he is, because that's how people get what they want from Donald Trump. So to me, it's a matter of calculation and smart strategy.
Andy, this is so interesting because to me, the number one objective is to make certain that Democrats take back, like you and I both generally agree that he's a unique threat and it needs to be defeated. You and I are on the same page on that. He's everything our founders feared. You and I are on the same page. I believe, is he evil? Maybe he's too stupid.
I would actually like to interject and say he's not as our founding fathers feared, because if they did fear someone like him, they would have wrote a better fucking document than they did. Okay, so they could never have imagined. Not the time, Willie. My dog. Oh my God. I'm trying to remember if I gave him his Prozac this morning. They had no idea that someone like Donald Trump could ever do what he's doing, because they banked on respecting the Constitution, respecting the norms, the institutions, the rule of law. And as we know, he doesn't do that.
True. And by the way, Andy, dogs, there's a rule on this podcast. Dogs can do whatever the hell they want.
All right, that's good. Well, he does that anyway, but it's good to know. He's very happy to hear that.
When I say he's everything our founders feared, he's what we rebelled against. He's a king. He's a tyrant. This is what our founders feared. You're right that our founders generally assumed that men and women of good faith, back then, men of good faith, would assume the roles and blah, blah, blah. But they did give us a constitution to be changed and amended if shit happens. But like you and I both agree, the objective is he and MAGA need to be defeated. If I'm a Democratic governor of a state, I'm Johnny One Note for the next 2 years. Trump is bad for America. MAGA is bad. This needs to be defeated. I'm not going to normalize it. I'm not going to hug him when he comes into my state. I'll work with him privately, but I'm not hugging the guy. I'm going to go. I'm not. Andy, I don't know why she went to his rally.
Well, it was in her home state, and I hear everything you're saying, and inside, Andy, inside Andy says I agree. Smart, practical Andy says she had to do it, and I think she played it well. And here's the thing: when I got to feed this. I got to just put a little. I'm gonna walk with you because he's gonna do this.
We're making podcast history right now.
All right.
Our dog is being fed.
Again, he's being fed again. And I have to give him my other dog's food because he won't eat his food.
Oh my God! What a spoiled, pampered dog, Pooch.
No, it's all pathological. He just wants what the other dog has, and the other dog wants his food. Anyway, so she's not running again. But what she is left with, that Jocelyn Benson can use, that Mallory McMorrow can use, that any Michigan politician can use, that the DNC can use. Donald Trump, his lips moving and saying, "Thank you. You did a great job. You did great work here. Thanks to you." To Gretchen Whitmer, as governor. How is that not valuable for her? How is that not valuable for the party, for other politicians running for office in Michigan, for the electorate? It's just good. In a state that Trump won by just 80,000 votes and about 1.5 points, if she hadn't done what she did and she did this with a state with results that close, I don't know what would happen in the midterms.
Yeah, again, here's the deal. Like I think you overall have the better, more reasonable argument because, Andy, all I'm hanging my hat on is...
Have I convinced you yet?
No. What you're getting there, we ain't been here before with this guy. This is utterly different. Right. So put all the old rules aside. It's like, Andy, like I was pissed at Joe Biden. Yeah, acknowledge Trump won, but don't invite him to the White House. Don't go to his inauguration. Don't invite him over for tea. He won. Acknowledge it. Democrats are still too much institutionalist as this guy tears down our institutions. So Gretchen Whitmer assumes I've got to do what we've always done, bipartisan. The president. No bullshit. Not this guy. It's a different playground now. It's a different battlefield. And I don't think Democrats sufficiently realize that. John Fetterman, Pennsylvania senator, done some really good things, but he runs down to Mar-a-Lago 2 months ago to meet with them. And he said, kind of a version of what you said, I'm the senator of Pennsylvania. I represent all Pennsylvanians. Of course, I'll meet with the newly elected president. Well, bullshit. Not if you believe he's an existential threat to our democracy and the rule of law. You know what I mean? And maybe Whitmer, Andy, doesn't believe that.
No, I think she does. She's no friend of Donald Trump. She agrees with, believe me, she agrees with you, me, and tens of millions of other people. But this is the world we're living in. It's like, what did Rumsfeld say years ago? You fight the war with the army you have, not the one you want. she's fighting the battle the way she has to fight it, not the battle she wants or the way she wants to fight it. So it just, you have to just look at the alternatives. I think it would have been, the optics would have been small, petty, and I think politically devastating if she said, "I'm not meeting with you. I'm not,"
Andy,
I think that's a problem.
Play that out. That's interesting. If Whitmer had come out and said, Mr. President, I'm not going to meet with you. I don't like what you've been doing the last 100 days. Boom, 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 boom. This is a threat to this country. I appreciate the support on the airbase, but that's it. I'm not meeting with you. And I sure as hell am not going to stand on a stage with you while you celebrate your first 100 days that are just destroying this country. I think if she'd have put out a statement like that, she would be a rock star right now for standing up on a principle that more than half the country want to hear.
I think she would be with a certain segment of the Democratic base. I don't know what number I would put to that, but I can't say at the same time that there would be intrinsic value in her taking that position. And so it just gets down to what's the goal? Look, I'm 65 now. It took me
you look good for 65.
Thank you. It took me a long time to get to a place where I was able to evolve into not being reactionary, not acting on complete, utter emotion. Being practical sometimes takes a long time to get to. I think she's, as a younger politician, she's there. She understands. There's no value in saying "fuck you." I especially not today, especially with the volatility in that state. Don't forget, you're talking about a state where armed people showed up at Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's house. You're talking about a state where armed people tried to take over the state house. You're talking about threats that are made on people. Like, all that does is rile up people in a way that doesn't yield a return. This is about winning, okay? And so I think what Governor Whitmer did was focus on how does she as governor, how do the other politicians running for office, how do they all win? How do they keep the legislature, which they flipped? How do they win? Winning. That is, to me, the only thing that you and I and every other Democrat, independent, former Republican, however you want to label us all, that is the only thing. And I don't think the strategy of "fuck you, I'm not meeting you" gets us to win.
Great point. The winning is in defeating him. You said something interesting. What's the value in giving him the middle finger? Let me rephrase that as a question. Isn't there huge value in publicly, strongly opposing him?
Yes, it depends though on how you define opposition. If she gave him the middle finger, that would dominate the news cycle for 20.
Wonderful.
No, because it's noise. I want the news cycle to focus on Kilmar Abrego Garcia being imprisoned in El Salvador. I want the news cycle focused on the big beautiful bill that's going to cut $800 billion from Medicaid. I want the news media focused on the shit that matters. I don't want them playing the clip over and over again of Trump going, "She's such a nasty woman. She wouldn't meet me. Total loser." We don't need that. We have enough of that already. That does not get us to win.
We're talking the same thing. I oppose him. Oppose him for deporting an innocent man. Oppose him for not knowing what the fuck he's doing with tariffs that are impacting people's 401ks.
Yeah.
Oppose him. Keith, get rid of that. Oppose him, Andy, for everything he's doing. But when, again, and you make a good point, when we normalize him, he wins. and she normalized him. And I don't know, I hear you, brother. Like, is it too late to take that back? Oh my God, I don't think it's ever too late to try to not normalize him. But I think if we believe he's a threat, and I don't know that Whitmer feels the same way you and I do. Maybe she is a more practical politician. Like, in my bones, I believe he's a threat to this country I love. And Andy, you've got me, because I used to be an ass, and I'm all about now sitting down with people I disagree with, finding common ground. I'll sit down with Trump supporters till the cows come home. I just think he's so uniquely different.
He is, but it doesn't change what the opposition needs to do. In other words, we can't be clouded by his, whatever you want to call it. Okay, put a label on it. Autocratic fantasies, whatever, violation of the rule of law. We have to stay focused on serving the people that voted for us. I'm talking as if I'm a politician. So Governor Whitmer was elected to represent her constituents, and she is fighting for, whether it's military bases and jet fighters and manufacturing and the auto industry, just whatever she's advocating for is in service to the people who voted for her. I just, if you listen to a lot of Trump supporters, as we all have in the last several weeks, they're watching the spending cuts from Doge and Elon Musk. They're watching the terminations, the treatment, the horrible treatment of veterans. They're watching their kids' various therapies, physical therapy, occupational therapy, et cetera, being cut in public schools. They're seeing measles outbreaks. They're watching the stock market crash, their own retirement and savings accounts tank. And you see his popularity, and you see Trump supporters, some of them, not all of them, some of them saying, this isn't what I voted for. This doesn't get me what I want. And I think the people of Michigan, a certain percentage of them, would be saying the same, that I did not vote for her to have her give the middle finger when my husband's auto plant may close or lay off thousands of people because of these freaking tariffs. I need her to get us what we need. And so, again, in a state that Trump won by such a narrow margin and 80,000 votes, I think it's playing with fire to play that kind of game.
That's interesting, Andy, because maybe we're not that far apart. Like, I think there is an outright craving for not necessarily just Democratic elected officials, but for people to fight back against what Trump is. Mm-hmm. I think among Democrats and independents, they are yearning for someone to stand up to him. Mm-hmm. And I actually think Whitmer could have done kind of what you just said there. You and your fucking crazy ass tariffs, whatever you're doing, you're taking a meat cleaver to my state. Damn you. You have no idea what you're doing. You're impacting real people. I'm not going to meet with you when you come into Michigan. What you're doing to the people in my state right now is pissing me off. Get your act together. I'm not going to hug you. I'm not going to go to your rally. I think she could have turned this into a positive. I'm going to fight back against you. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're kind of saying the same. Would that have sounded like a middle finger to you if she'd have said that, like fought back like that?
I don't think it was the time and the place, because you have to focus on the sensitivities of why she went there. It was a celebration of improving a National Guard base, adding jobs. That was not the time or the place to slug it out with Donald Trump. I think, look, she's not going to be governor soon.
She wants to run for president.
Okay. But I think I think when she's out of office, you'll probably hear a lot from Gretchen Whitmer about her true feelings about Donald Trump. And
I'm going to stop you right there, my friend, because I love and respect and adore you. Ha, ha, ha. How about that? But this, Andy Ostroy, is my biggest beef, and I would say the voters' biggest beef with Democrats. Trump's magic is he comes across as authentic. He ain't a politician. He ain't prepackaged. Every fucking Democrat sounds like a prepackaged, over-consulted politician. And what you just said there, Gretchen Whitmer, right now she's a politician. She's got
no. I didn't say that. I said
I know
she has a job to do, and that's the key difference.
Okay,
and she's doing that job. She got what she needed for her state and for her constituents.
And then you said, but then when she's no longer a politician, when she's no longer a governor, she can let her true feelings out.
No. That's not what I said either.
What'd you say?
When she's no longer running a state, then she could devote her time and effort and energies to the national political scene.
Right. And
which is dominated by Trump.
Right. And you said something along the lines, then she can let us know how she really feels. I want to hear how Democrats really feel. I think voters want to hear authenticity. Like Gretchen Whitmer, tell me right now how you really feel about Trump. Don't sound like a politician. I'm pissed off, Mr. President. You're coming into my state when your fucking first 100 days are like, you're taking a meat cleaver to the people of my state. I'm not going to sit down with you. I sure as hell am not going to go to one of your rallies, Mr. President. Like, Andy, couldn't there have been like a middle ground? Just like, don't go and speak at his rally.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem, Joe. There is no middle ground with Donald Trump.
Well, but then if he won't accept a middle ground, then middle finger. You stand up for the people of your state.
I think it's a different game. It's a psychological game. Trump loves to be stroked. He loves to be praised. He loves attention, adulation, affirmation. I could go on.
Why give him that? Punch him in the face.
Because you get what you want. Isn't that the goal, to get what you want?
He got what he wanted. Oh, look at Gretchen Whitmer loves me. She hugged me again. By the way,
did he get what he wanted?
Oh, he got what
she got him to publicly, we are talking about this because he said to her, you did a great job. We owe it to you and others. You did a great job. How did she lose? Sounds like he lost. She got him to kiss her ass. How about we think of it that way?
Fair point. And only on that point are you moving me a little, you big jerk.
Oh my God. Folks, are you listening? Folks, I have an audience here. I have a studio audience. Are you listening to this?
He got what he wanted. I would acknowledge as well. Oh my God, 100 days. I've got a Democratic governor showing up at my rally celebrating 100 days. So he got what he wanted too. Andy, the context here though is, like about a month ago, she ended up in the Oval Office for whatever reason. And there was that infamous picture taken of her where she's trying to cover her face. Mm-hmm. When you saw that, Gretchen Whitmer a month ago in the Oval Office covering her face, what'd you think?
You know, I to me, that was like Nancy Pelosi ripping up the document. It was Nancy Pelosi going. So it worked for me, honestly.
What worked? I thought that made her look horrible. Yay, nay?
No, I think it made her look like, I ain't playing your game. Fuck you. That was the time to say, fuck you. And she did it. It was not on her turf in her state over a Michigan issue. He tried to use her, to exploit her. And she did, I think, what exactly you would want her to do, based on everything you just said, to go like this. Instead of this, it was the the thing that you put up in frort of her face, the portfolio.
Oh my God, this is fascinating. Because I had the exact opposite reaction.
Oh, wait, stop. And after she did that, after she did this to him.
That wasn't to this, but go ahead.
What happened? She then gets invited to be with him at this event where he then kisses her ass and says, thank you, you did a great job. So cause and effect. Play that out. She did this and then got what she wanted for herself and for her the people of her state. How is that not a win for Governor Whitmer?
For the record,
she played him like a fool.
For the record, my good friend, I don't think what she did in the White House a month ago, standing in the Oval Office and then covering her face, I don't think that was a middle finger. I think that was a politician who realized, oops, I'm in trouble. I better cover my face. A fuck you would have been, because by the way, Andy, and I know you know this, she was there in the Oval Office the day Trump issued an executive order to ordering the Justice Department to go after Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor, two of his political opponents. Mm-hmm. She's standing right there while he's announcing the executive order. A fuck you to Trump would have been, what the fuck is this? You're ordering the Justice Department to go after two of your political opponents? I'm getting the hell out of here. And she storms out of the White House to stand up for the rule of law. That would have been a really effective fuck you. But to your line of thinking, then she might not have gotten what she wanted back home.
I think what she did in that moment was was impulsive and a reaction in the moment.
Cowardly.
I don't see it that way at all. No, I think it was.
Oh, Andy, the man crush is over. For the record, my man crush on Andy Ostroy is over. For the record,
I like to win. I ran a business for 20 years. I never put emotion into any decision I made. I used to tell my partner all the time, when I get off the elevator every day, I have one goal in mind, and that is, how could we make, by the end of the day, can I feel good looking at myself in the mirror and say, A, we did the best job we could today. We worked towards making the most money possible. And am I happy with how this day went? Did we win? Winning. Between now and 26, winning is everything. Expanding the base is everything. Michigan is a weird state. It's complicated. It's got a lot of complex constituency issues. You've got Arab Americans, you've got Jews, you've got auto workers, you've got people who are all coming in with their own single issue stuff.
You and I agree. The goal
taking back the House, maybe winning the Senate, and then focusing on 28.
Okay. Two responses. I'm not talking about emotion, and I don't want to be ruled by emotion. I am talking about righteous anger, and I am talking about standing up to a tyrant. I agree with you that winning is the goal, and the only way we win and expand our base and defeat MAGA Trump and Trumpism is by forcefully fighting against it, calling it out, and standing up against it, not making nice with it.
See, here's where we differ. I don't see her making nice with him. I think it's, again, if you ask yourself who went home to their respective places at the end of that day and said, did I win? Did I get what I needed? Now, at the very least, if I want to give you what you said before, if they both won, okay. I mean, your show is about, people coming together and yeah. So, but I don't think he won shit. She played him. She played him like everyone else plays him, like a fucking fiddle. And that clip will live on forever of him going, thank you, Gretchen. Thank you. You did a great job. And that's going to have value.
I love you, but I think you have to accept that they both won. He right now is in trouble politically, and he was able to get a Democratic governor to go to a fucking rally celebrating 100 days and embrace him. So publicly, he won as well. I think she hurt herself politically, because this is now the second time she's kind of coddled up to that tyrant in the White House. I think she's going to have a much harder time becoming a Democratic nominee for president. She'd have to make your case, Andy, because I want someone who's going to fight against him, and she's not it right now.
Well, I obviously disagree with you on that, and I think she took a practical position, and she got what she wanted. I mean, we keep circling back to that, but at the end of the day, that's the issue. She got what she wanted, and I think it's a fool's errand. I'm not calling you a fool, but I think anyone who thinks that 6 months from now, 12 months from now, when people are sitting there going, "Oh my God, Uncle Harry lost his job. My 401k is now a 201k. Abrego Garcia is still in." There are people getting deported. But Donald Trump got her to come to his rally, so I'm good. I don't think that's happening.
I agree with all that.
I don't see that. I think a week from now, no one is going to be talking about anything Gretchen Whitmer did or didn't do in Wisconsin, in Michigan. But I guarantee you, they will be talking about Trump's popularity and why it's cratering, the tariffs, the trade wars, the terminations, the spending cuts, Medicaid, Doge, USAID, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is what people are talking about.
I agree, Andy, with every word of that. And as this continues to get worse with Trump, completely agree. People are going to be talking about how bad Trump is and the damage he's doing everywhere. And people are going to continue to be crying out for Democrats to stand up and fight back against him. And all I'm saying is, people won't remember this. This is going to hurt her. It's going to make it more difficult for her to come out sometime in the future and all of a sudden be the tough person against him. And Andy, I do believe that picture of her in the White House covering her face as he's signing an executive order telling the Justice Department to go after two of his opponents, I think that picture, Mike Dukakis in the tank, is going to hurt her for a long, long time.
I think we're living in times today where you said something earlier, the American people are starving for a lot of things. One of the things they're starving for is an end to toxicity. It is exhausting. I am a junkie. I live and breathe this stuff, like you. I am so exhausted by all of this.
How do you balance it, Andy? Because I agree. I'm tired of the toxicity. I spend half of my day going after you can hear me still, right?
Yeah, okay. No, I just got a little notice that my battery is dying, so I have to put in my charger.
Put in your charger. As you put in your charger, Andy Ostroy. By the way, Andy Ostroy, he's got a podcast called The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. Listen to his podcast every week. Go subscribe to Andy Ostroy's Substack. Everybody subscribe to Andy Ostroy's Substack, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. Follow, subscribe. He's one of the most interesting, engaging, smart people I know. Andy Ostroy, I spend half of my day resisting Trump, toxicity, and then the other half of the day trying to get people to come together and lower the hate. I completely agree with you. It's a tough balance because I'm tired of the toxicity too, but yet we have this immediate unique threat in front of us. How do you balance that?
Well, what I wanted to finish my thought from before I was fearing my Mac closing down on me. Michigan, you have to understand Michigan. It is purple. It is one of those states that not only is decided on razor margins, but if you win or lose Michigan, you kind of win or lose everything, right? So I just think people don't want to see toddlers fighting. We already have one in the White House. We have to deal with him. But think about it like in a hostage negotiation, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Does the SWAT guy get on the phone with the dude in the bank and go, if you don't come out now with your gun above your head and your hands above your head, we're going to blow this bank up? No, they're like, Joe, they play him like a fiddle. What do you need? Of course, we understand. Get inside his head. This is how you deal with Trump, because he's not like any other president. Some people call him a sociopath. I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, you're talking about somebody who literally operates and makes decisions by ego, id, and fiat every day. And so it's like dealing with an armed guy in a bank who has a lot of people's lives at stake in their control. And so I think what she did was, I think it was masterful, because whenever she runs for president or whatever, there's going to be that clip of her going, he thanked me for getting this job done. So he went back home. I got what I needed for you, the people. I worked for you. I didn't put emotion. I didn't put toddler temper tantrums in front. I worked for you. I put all of that shit aside, and I got the job done.
Andy, you make a wonderful case. I really mean that. No BS. You make a wonderful, compelling case. Generally, in hostage situations, the guy who's holding hostages in a bank, that's one thing. Hamas takes a bunch of Israeli hostages. I don't negotiate with hostages. If terrorists grab Americans somewhere in another country, I'm letting the terrorists know we're not negotiating with you. Sorry, we don't negotiate with hostages. That only encourages more hostage taking. But you can go either way on that one. Again, you and I are not that far apart. I'm not talking about dealing with emotion. We do have a toddler in the White House. I think America wants people to stand up against that toddler, call that toddler out, and punch that toddler in the face. And I think Gretchen did the exact opposite. I think it will hurt her politically among Democrats, and it helped Trump. I'm going to give you the final word, brother, because you're the best.
No, you're the best.
No, you're the best.
No, you're the best. So again, I agree with you and would agree with everything you're saying if this was different.
By the way,
times.
if this was not Andy, a battleground state governor, would you have said, like Gavin Newsom, Gavin, stand up to Trump? Gavin, fight Trump out in California, a blue state or a red state?
I may make a different calculation. Maybe. It just depends on what's at stake, because that's the whole issue. What is at stake and what do you get? What's the return? What's the value? But
what if she had gotten that funding for the base that was already approved? What if she just said, I'm not going to appear with you publicly? What's wrong with that? Like, you're coming to the state to celebrate your 100 days. What the fuck? I'm not going to be part of that. He's already given her what she wanted, the 850, the millions to keep the base open. You've already got it.
So here's my final thought on it.
You got the final word.
And I'll make another analogy. Okay, if you're in the hospital and you got all the shit hooked up to you, right? This is what you want to see. Boop, 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 boop. You don't want to see this. Okay, so the latter is what would happen if she had done this to him. And the problem with that is that it takes everyone, especially her, off message. And so I'm not going to say I agree with James Carville, but there's a huge part of what James Carville said, which I do agree with, in his op-ed in the New York Times a few weeks ago. And that is, let Trump be Trump. I don't agree that Democrats just lay on the ropes. That to me is a huge mistake. And I do think we can do two things, that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. But to me, the best strategy would be is to keep Trump like this until the midterms. Keep Trump like this, because all you do by doing this is create this. Now, we see what he's done with law firms. We've seen what he's done with colleges and universities. You could bet your ass if she gave him the finger that day, in whatever shape or form you want to define that as, the next day, Michigan State, everything would be coming down from the federal government. I want Pam Bondi investigating, blah, 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 blah. And what? You can avoid that. You can avoid that by doing this, by playing.
Oh, Andy,
right?
You avoid that. Bring it on. Bring it on. Rally the whole state.
No. There's enough of that, Joe. There's enough. We've got 200 fucking lawsuits. The courts we are talk about egg prices. Do you know how much money, your money and my money and every taxpayer's money, dollars are being spent funding these 200 plus lawsuits? These erroneous, egregious, unnecessary, unprovoked lawsuits simply because of his unconstitutional executive orders. We have enough of this shit. The courts are doing a great job standing up to him. It's not an all or nothing game. It's pick and choose your battles where necessary. And for Governor Whitmer in Michigan at this stage in the game, this to me was the perfect strategy. I didn't win you over, didn't I?
No, you lost me when James Carville. Screw Carville. Yeah. Let Trump be Trump. How'd that work out for us? No,
it's working out. It's that part of it. Again, not the lay on the ropes, Democrats, but the let Trump be Trump. 100 days, the worst polling in American history of any president at this point. I think the let Trump be Trump strategy is smart, but it has to be combined with and let's beat up Trump when and where we can, with an eye on the return on investment.
Because I think the days of Democrats can win by just saying Trump is bad. I think November proved those days are over. So
absolutely.
Democrats have to stand for something.
Absolutely.
Right now they don't. His name is Andy Ostroy. He's the best. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Ostroy. Check out his podcast, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy, and everybody listening, go subscribe to his Substack, same name, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. Andy, this has been a joy.
Thank you, Joe. And thanks for what you do. It's important for people to talk about shit, even if they don't agree.
Right back at you, my friend. Thanks, Andy. Everybody else, be brave.
Take care. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with